Hey, all you Splinterheads, welcome back. Bronze Dragon here saying thanks for dropping by. As always, I do appreciate your time. Please consider leaving a like on the video if this brings you value, and also subscribe to the channel if you like to receive this type of content. Okay, this episode is going to be a Splinterlands update. I did not do an update in January because everyone was coming off the holidays and everything was just kind of getting back up and running for the year, and I didn't have a whole lot of news to go with. The town hall during January was a little bit, it didn't have a whole lot of information to it. And it just seems like, everybody at that point, the team was getting it back up and running from the holidays and everything was just progressing. Well, for everything that January lacked, February has brought us that tenfold. We've got several different items to talk about in this episode. And these items, I created a little slide of the 5 top items that I wanted to talk about. And some of them happened this week, and some of them are going to be happening next week, and some of them a little bit further down the road. But these are the big items that I wanted to take a look at and discuss. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to talk about, and these are not numbered in any particular order, I just put them in a list of 5 because they were the top things at the top of my mind this week. This past week, SPS Validator nodes went live, and from a technical perspective, which I'm kind of a geek, I'll admit it, I was very excited. This is something that has taken several years and been backburnered several times because mainly they just didn't have the personnel to go ahead and make it happen. But this past week, the SPS Validator software went live. I've been talking back and forth with my brother who has a license and has a node up and running. So that's where my information for this has come from. I find the topic of running nodes very technically interesting from a tech geek type point of view. I will leave this link in the show notes if you want to peruse it, but these are the details about the Validator node overview and the license pre-sale. This is from back in 2022. As far as I know, these are still accurate facts because off the top of my mind, it's been quite a while. I didn't really remember the facts about the pre-sale. I did not buy a license. And at this point in time, I think the licenses are at about $5,000 on off of the website. And if you buy them off the secondary market, then they're a little bit over $200. So I don't know necessarily if what kind of value they present at this point in time, but anybody can run a node if you just want to jump into it and do it to support the SPS token. That's fine. I'm thinking about going ahead and getting one up and running. I don't think I will buy a license at this point, although it is worth mentioning that Peak Monsters has said that they're going to run a service where if you didn't want to go through the hassle of getting a node up and running and you wanted to invest in a license, then they would run it for you, and you would put use your license, and you would get the profit minus whatever their cut is. So that's very interesting, and it's interesting to run through here and see exactly what people with a license can stand to make off of it. I'm not going to take a deep dive in this episode. Like I said, I kind of like it from the tech point of view of getting a node up and running, but also it's something that was really needed. And I don't think I can quite say it how important this is to the game. Okay, we are talking about a Web3 crypto game. And one of the features of a blockchain-based game is one of the things you're shooting for is as much decentralization as possible. And I'm not going to dig into this topic, but up to this point, SPS was not decentralized. SPS has been run by the Splinterlands team as far as on their servers and everything. So this is a great move forward as far as what the game needs, and from a tech point of view, I think pretty cool. So anyway, if you want to run through these details, then go ahead and take a look at it. And if you're considering buying a license, I would definitely read through the details. Okay, on to the next item. Once again, in no particular order, but the next item I wanted to mention was the SPS On-ramp proposal. and we'll take a look at it here. But I've mentioned this a number of times over the years. One of the biggest hurdles in getting people into playing Splinterlands is overcoming the how to buy and sell SPS and DEC. So I think we'll take a look at the details, but I think this is a great move forward in the overall goal to make it easier for people to get into the game. So once again, if you're interested in reading this, you can find it on the, let me see here, it's under the draft proposals active, and it looks like it's going to pass in 5 hours. But here are the details, and once again, I'll leave the this link in the show notes if you want to read it. But once again, it approves fiat on-ramp with coverage in 150 countries, including the 50 U.S. states. Off-ramping in many countries it's going to cost the company $35,000 of the DAO, $35,000, but the liquidity is sourced from our liquidity pools, and the DAO earns 1% off of it, and will list either BSC or Ethereum token and allow us to migrate to the SPS token on Hive for free once Hive finishes onboarding. And they do mention that it might be tight, but if they go ahead and we go ahead and approve this, then it should be ready by the launch of Conclave Arcana. And it is worth mentioning that there will be a small cost. The end user will have roughly a 5% cost on their credit card, and 2% on bank transfer. But considering all the fees that we go through and the losses that you get when you're buying tokens elsewhere and trading them and bringing them into the game or on Hive Engine, that's what's expected, and it's not out of the ordinary. So once again, this still has to go through the full approval process, but I think this is a no-brainer, really, and I'm really looking forward to it, because once they do this, it'll make it ultimately a lot easier for new people to get up and running in the game. The next item on my list is survival mode, and according to what Matt and the team said in the last town hall this week, survival mode is set to go live this coming week, which would be the maintenance for the 25th of February, 2025. I haven't said a whole lot on survival mode, really due to the fact that it's not really going to be a mode that I play. I don't necessarily, I can see the need for it from a perspective of wanting to give a mode to people who have supported the game by buying lots and lots of cards, and giving them an outlet to use those tons and tons of cards for something. But it all comes back to something, also Matt mentioned this is something that a lot of people are talking about this past week, is it's also going to primarily be one of those modes that is botted. And interestingly enough, Matt brought up the topic of possibly bringing in AI to do something with it. I don't know how much AI is going to play into how these standard bots work to play these hands. I don't think it really. I don't think it's really the true definition of what AI is. It's going to go live within the, if not next week, pretty soon thereafter. It should be interesting. I don't know how much that's going to affect the game overall. Like I said, I think it's mainly targeting those people who have tons and tons of cards and they want to earn a little bit extra off of them. What I'm mainly concerned here is that this is being funded by the team themselves, and then they're going to want to shift the funding to the DAO over at some point. I don't want to see the main pools that both Modern and or Wild give out to everybody for just your standard matches. I don't want to see those pools affected by this survival mode. Like I said, this is something that I, as just what I figure your average middle of the road player is not going to do a whole lot in, because guess what? If you look at the details of survival mode, your card can be killed off and it can be out of action for several days. And, that means you can't use it for any mode, so that kind of takes me out of it, because one of the things that we've talked about a lot lot is the fact that a lot of this is going to be limited by how many summoners you have, because you lose, your summoner gets knocked out, then you just can't use that summoner anymore. And, a lot of people are talking about, hey, a lot of these people have tons and tons of 1BCX cards, and I don't know necessarily how effective those are going to be. You're going to get a lot of matches that are 1BCX teams up against 1BCX teams, and then one wins, one loses, and then all of a sudden that summoner is out of action for 10-15 days, whatever it happens to be, right? I don't know how effective that's going to be, and like I said, there's a lot of question marks around this. It's cool to have another mode in the game. More is better, right? I don't know necessarily, but it's interesting. But that leads into the mode that I'm looking forward to, which is campaign mode, and number 4 on my list here. Now, one thing that I really like is a PvE mode in a game. Even though Splinterlands is primarily a PvP player versus player, I think that a PvE mode, or a story mode, if you will, adds a lot to a game. And this is something that myself, Gathering the Magic, and a number of other players who do videos on the topic have talked about over the years. I like a good storyline. I know a lot of people don't like when Nate goes on and on about storylines, but I'm one of those guys that does like the storyline, right? It's not the primary thing, but it's something that is in games that I think really enhances the game, right? And the campaign mode seems to be just that. On the surface, where they're starting out with is sort of leading new players into the game, teaching people how to play, right? And that's fine. And I want to work through that campaign mode because obviously I've been playing for years. I know how to play to a certain extent. I'm not a high-end player, right? But I like that they will have something in place to continue to add more campaigns. And if you've played other games, you know that this can be a cool addition to a game. Okay, so a lot of games that go ahead and they sell packages. Once campaigns come out, they can introduce campaigns at a certain regularity, and you can progress your way through it. They talked about the various cards, which aren't necessarily going to be really powerful cards, but who knows in the future. Like I said, there's a lot of games where you can buy extra packages, story packages, and they may not come along to and this is just spitballing ideas, but my main point here is I like the idea of how they are going to have a tutorial without calling it a tutorial. Matt didn't want to call it a tutorial, but it will lead a new person into the game and start teaching things along the way and grant cards to beef up your deck as you play along and kind of get you into the process of getting new cards, leveling up those cards, etc., and playing the game. But what I'm excited about is once that foundation is in place, what they can actually do with it. Could you imagine? Okay, so that's been in place for a while. People are generally working through everything, and once in a while they drop a new storyline, and it takes, you could buy it. In a lot of games, you have to buy that storyline. It's $20, and you get access to that new storyline campaign mode, and you can go into that campaign just like a standard, like a D&D style thing. You can jump in. It's got a whole storyline. It's finite. Maybe you pay $20 for it. Maybe it has certain rewards that come out the other end, and obviously those would have to be leveled against what you're paying against, and given a certain amount of profit to the company for actually taking the time to create those campaigns. But there's a lot of things that can come out of this, and this is something that gives you an extra use for your cards that won't take energy up, and something you can do other than just playing hands of cards against another person. So we'll take a look at a few screenshots of the artwork that Nate provided just to kind of see where it's going. Okay, so here's a screen that Nate shared that shows basically what a chapter would be, working your way through the storyline. And it shows some cards. You can see that they have brown frames indicating wood, which is what they're calling at this point. As always, it's still in the works. Things could change. But it shows you a nice screen here where you're presented with a quest, right? And what you have to do, what the first time completion rewards are. Obviously, you're only going to get rewards the first time you complete it. And then you can go through, complete that. And if you do, you get this card and then 100 glint. So it's nice. They're working on, they presented several screenshots of basically making the game look better and the campaign mode, having it flow with a storyline, some animations, some characters talking you through it and everything like that. So here's a view that he shared of the campaign screen as you're working your way through, what it'll look like. It'll be very clear. It's very much like a lot of other games we play. It just gives you a clear indication of where you stand in the storyline, what you have completed, and what you still need to complete. So he showed your standard battle screen and what you're going to be presented with. There might be different things that there might be puzzles as part of this, but a lot of this that they're developing right now is around teaching people how to use the various cards, the summoners, the various powers and everything. So that seems pretty straightforward, but obviously as you progress through, things are going to get more difficult. So before we jump into the next topic, while we're on the topic of shared artwork by Nate, I did want to go ahead and include these next two cards that are going to be artwork from Conclave Arcana, which was cool that he shared. This is going to be a wizard. He said it was a dwarf, but to me it looks more like a gnome. Either way, it looks pretty cool. Somebody had said this in chat, and I kind of agree with them. I hope they modified this a little bit. To me, the background is a little bit overbearing here. Obviously, this is just in the working stages, but I think some of these really, all the backgrounds right now just have a pattern to them, and they're the color of the splinter, right? And sometimes they can be overbearing and take away from the artwork, but I'm sure they're keeping an eye on that. And then also this lady wizard, which looks pretty cool. And once again, over the last Rebellion was the first set that I noted that the artwork, what do I want to say? It's inspired by anime, that kind of thing. So I think that the artwork, I don't necessarily like the backgrounds. I understand why they're doing them that way. But I think the artwork has become really cool now. So that was the second piece that he shared. Okay, and certainly last but certainly not least, is marketing. They introduced Andrew, who was on the live stream town hall yesterday from Not Corrupt Media, which I love the name of it, and I loved how straightforward he was, and he had a good firm grasp on what his task ahead of him was. So what can I say? I was encouraged by the way he presented himself and answered all the questions in a very straightforward manner. If you didn't watch the town hall, I would encourage you to go over and look at it. It was 2.5 hours. It took me quite a while to work my way through it while I'm listening to it during the workday and everything. But I was encouraged by the way he presented himself. Obviously, we've had, he's a PR guy, so he's very good at this is his job, right? But he put forward a lot of good, solid information. And with the game in a much better situation than it was last year, and also the mobile app being in testing currently, they are planning on doing a big advertising campaign, and that was why he was on the town hall, and that's why part of why the town hall took 2.5 hours. But it was good, solid use of time because he cut straight to the topic, right? He didn't beat around the bush, and he showed that he had a lot of experience. So if there's anybody to get it done, obviously it sounds like he can. He had mentioned a lot of things, basically things that they're going to improve with the game, such as the website, the landing page, and the logos and stuff like that. Everything that wrapped up includes will basically boost the presentation of Splinterlands and make it look better, make it look like more of a top level game. So I am looking forward to that. And he said a lot of this stuff should be in action by the time Conclave Arcana comes out. So as always, we cross our fingers and hold our breath for that. Just kidding. Anyway, this has been Bronze Dragon. with a little bit of a wrap up of what's been happening in Splinterlands this last week or two. Obviously, the some of the stuff on this list is has occurred this week, is getting ready to occur, and some of this stuff is a little bit further out. But either way, that's my take on it. Let me know in the comments what you think of these different items, and don't forget, we have a live stream on Saturday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. The Saturday morning stand-up, as I call it, where now there's been a big change this week. I used to talk about multiple topics. Now we're splitting out Atlas Earth out of the stream on Saturday, and that's getting its own stream on Sunday. So if you're interested in Atlas Earth, come Sunday. If you're interested in Splinterlands and other Hive-based games, stick around. And as always, for the last 2 years, every Saturday, 11:30 Eastern Time, we'll be talking Splinterlands. So this has been Bronze Dragon. I hope everyone on your side is happy and healthy. And hey, I'll see you in Splinterlands.